This is a Nerdrotic special report. Bob Iger is a quitter.
Nerdrotic.com.
Fair warning, you're going to get low-tier content because I usually don't upload 2 videos in one day, especially at night. But Bob Iger being a quitter is pretty big news. But before I get started, I'm hearing to this very day that people are being unsubscribed from my channel. So if you've come across this video, please check and make sure you are still subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so and like and share the videos. That is the only way an independent content creator like yours truly can stay competitive against the giant corporations that YouTube has decided to prioritize on this platform, including ABC and Disney. Now, this comes from Deadline. Disney names Bob Chapek, CEO, as Bob Iger's successor. Iger becomes executive chairman through 2021. Can you feel it? The winds of change, they are a-blowing. Just a couple of days after Dan Didio is fired with cause from DC Comics, Bob Iger steps down as CEO from Disney. And as it stands right now, there is a chance that Kathleen Kennedy could outlast Bob Iger at Disney. Who saw that one coming? Now, I know there are rumors, they come out every other day, that she is on her way out the door, and she might be. I'll believe it when I see it. But it's very curious timing. This one did kind of come out of nowhere, although he did say he was going to do this for quite some time. But you think he would wait a little while. And don't you think it's interesting this comes right after the announcement of the Let's Get High Republic from Lucasfilm? We'll go over that in just a second. And his replacement, Bob Chapek, who is famously cheap, might not be the best answer. He might be another Michael Eisner. But it's very interesting. I saw a video here on YouTube. I'll link it in the description. Can't remember it right now. Where it's a little documentary on Michael Eisner. And he talks about his concerns with Bob Iger coming on as CEO, that he wasn't a creative person. And if you did read Bob Iger's book, I listened to it, you could hear having a creative legacy was important to him. And just the gist I got from the book, that he was envious of creative people because that's the one thing he wasn't. I have never been a fan of Bob Iger. The only thing that guy knows how to do is buy stuff. And quite frankly, he's ruined Marvel Comics. And that's what I will remember him for. Yes, they've done right by the MCU, but that was something they didn't start. That was something Kevin Feige started with the people over at Paramount. And what has happened to the comic books is my main concern. And I knew they would be sacrificed. And quite frankly, I would trade the entire MCU to have good Marvel comics. But I might be in the minority on this one. Now let's go to Deadline and see if they give us any answers. Disney's board of directors has sprung the news that it has named Bob Chapek Disney's chief executive officer effective immediately. Bob Iger, the Disney architect, I don't know about that, maybe the Disney shopaholic, and until now chairman and CEO, will assume the role of executive chairman and direct the company's creative endeavors while continuing to lead the board. So he isn't entirely quitting. After years of wondering the succession plan for Iger, this is it. He will stay in his new role through the end of his contract on December 31st, 2021. Chapek most recently served as chairman of Disney Parks, Experiences, and Products. Well, I went to Galaxy's Edge last summer. You can find the videos here on the channel, and I found it very underwhelming. It wasn't completely empty when I went, but it wasn't crowded either, and there wasn't a lot to do. It was just basically a shopping mall. Now, I don't know about the other ride. Maybe that's a total success, and hey, I usually like going to Disneyland, but I don't know if this is the right guy. Maybe he's just an interim guy. I'm not sure. But I am waiting for the article that says another white male takes over a company. Look for that article on Io9 or the Mary Sue within the next 24 hours. With the successful launch of Disney's direct-to-consumer businesses and the integration of 21st Century Fox well underway, I was completely against that whole deal. I still am. I think it's just bad for media in general. I believe this is the optimal time to transition. Well, Bob's in transition, good for him, to a new CEO, Iger said. I have the utmost confidence in Bob. He could be referring to himself right there. Really? Don't you think? He could be just looking in the mirror going, I have the utmost confidence in you. And look forward to working closely with him over the next 22 months as he assumes this new role and delves deeper into Disney's multifaceted global businesses. Wow, this really sounds like a company that produces art and operations, while I continue to focus on the company's creative endeavors. Now, I did bring up Michael Eisner was concerned that Bob Iger wasn't a creative person because he isn't. isn't. He's a purchaser. And that's where the article ends, and I think that is the bad news for Kathleen Kennedy, because I highly doubt Bob Iger is going to meddle with the MCU. And maybe all the rumors are true. Maybe Kevin Feige and Jon Favreau are going to take over Star Wars. I don't think it's a coincidence that one of the Russo brothers tweeted out of nowhere that Kevin Feige is actually a bigger Star Wars fan than he is a Marvel fan. He's got a giant collection down in his basement. I don't think that just came out of the blue. I know from his book that Bob Iger wanted Star Wars to be his legacy, and that ended up getting shattered. Rian Johnson cost this company $1 billion. Yes, Rian Johnson cost them $1 billion, and I think that's a low estimate with his crappy movie and his act after the movie. Now, it might have been less if he kept his mouth shut, but he's incapable of doing that. I'm surprised they haven't just fired him outright or told him to pound sand. Maybe they have behind the scenes, and maybe they're just not telling anybody because they want to save face, but he has cost them so much. Yes, his movie was profitable. Yes, The Fall of Skywalker was profitable, but they could have made so much more. And considering what we saw yesterday with the Let's Get High Republic announcement on this board, we can see that Disney Star Wars really hasn't changed that much. I thought they were turning the page with The Mandalorian, but when we see this, I'm not so sure. But at least they got their priorities straight. They said in the announcement that they're going to come at Star Wars from different angles, like diversity, actually having an ending, dinosaurs, representation and diversity. Diversity's actually on that board twice. That's your legacy, Bob Iger, a not pro-war Star Wars, Marvel Comics in shambles, and Disney in debt? I'm not so sure. We can speculate for the rest of the year why he's leaving. Again, I'm going to guess he's going to say it's the presidential run, but maybe Disney Plus isn't doing as well as we thought. Maybe they had a big bump with The Mandalorian, but then people bailed out afterwards because there's nothing. And maybe he left because he just doesn't want to work with Kathleen Kennedy anymore. Maybe he tried every way possible to get rid of her and he couldn't, so he just quit. I'm out of here. You can have this woman. And this situation is fluid. The Deadline article that I read has been updated twice since I started recording this video about 20 minutes ago, and we have a new article. Shock and wah? Disney downplays surprise. Timing of Bob Chapek succeeding Bob Iger, meaning nobody was expecting this, meaning this is really weird timing, especially because they're in the middle of the streaming wars. Maybe the writer's strike has something to do with this. That's coming down in a couple months. I don't know, and I don't really care, but I am enjoying this because I love Disney Schadenfreude. The one thing I do think factored into Bob Iger's decision that he will never admit was the Disney Star Wars disaster, and that could have been avoided if you treated the fans with respect. It's one thing to make a bad movie. It's another thing to attack the fandom, and a lot of those Disney employees who have done that are still there. And Marvel Comics employees have done the same thing, and they are Disney employees, and they continue to hire them. Dana Schwartz is just one example, and she did that recently. Bob Iger did nothing about that, so I'm not sorry he's gone. Again, I'm not worried about it. He's very rich. He will be just fine. But Disney Star Wars and Marvel Comics not be fine in the foreseeable future or ever. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, thank you for listening this long. I'll see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.